Hello and welcome to a quick review of the Watchdives GMT Master 2 homage. This is actually the Watchdives WD, I believe 17760. I will give you the exact name of the model, but obviously this is an homage to a GMT Master 2, Rolex GMT Master 2, and this was a highly sought after watch in my collection, which I was anticipating because it looks so good in the pictures, and in the pictures you actually saw the face with beautiful ceramic insert, this black shiny glossy part. You have the sapphire glass obviously, and you have a beautiful brushing on the bracelet, but I was very disappointed, and I will send back the watch. I will tell you in a second why this is the case. So first things first, you have the dimensions. So you have a 42 case diameter, you have a slightly bigger lug to lug of 46, 48, if you measure like this, 47, 48. You have a thickness of 13.4 or 13.5 if you measure the cyclos, a little bit more maybe. But what's really important, you have the classic proportions. What's really important is you have sapphire glass over here, you have a closed case back, you have the NH34 movement, which I'm going to come to in a second, why I dislike this choice, or I dislike the particular movement in this watch. You have the GMT hand, and obviously I 21,000 something hertz beat rate, which is a high frequency beat rate. So about the movement, let's talk later about the movement. Let's take a look at the build quality. So first of all, the bezel action is rock solid, however it is slightly off to the side, and I think you see when I move the camera like this, it is slightly off to the right, and this is a problem which I encountered not with those kinds of watches, but with watches by Pagani design as well. I'll do a comparison in a second. But what really bothered me was, first of all, it is off by a lot. Like, it doesn't keep the time properly. This is the first thing. Obviously you want your watch to keep the time, but the second thing which I was really surprised about was the bracelets. So it came like this, with a ditch or with a bump in a bracelet. It is not something which I could reproduce by using it. It is done from the factory, so the quality control is really poor. And the most striking point about this watch is the clasp. Just take a look at this. This is horrible. It doesn't even close properly from time to time, so the hole and the pin doesn't get aligned. And actually, when you see this, just look at the wiggle. Now, I don't know if you can see, but it wiggles so much that if you align the clasp, it's actually very hard to close at times. It is not something which I'm used to, even in Chinese brands like Pagani design, which are obviously a lot cheaper. But take a look at the bracelet. It has beautiful brushing on the outside, on the inside as well. When you take a look in the inside, but just take a listen to the rattle. My God, this sounds like cheap brass, and it is exactly the feel which is recreated on the wrist, unfortunately. If you compare that, this is a roughly 150, 160 even euro watch, and you compare that this is a Pagani design. Obviously this same homage, the magnification on the Cyclops is a little bit too much on the Pagani design. You don't have a ceramic bezel insert, you have an aluminum bezel insert with a Pepsi design, the blue and red, but the bezel action is not that good. It's just one directional, not bi-directional like on the Watchdives. It is it is bi-directional. 24 click over here, which aligns not beautifully, but it clicks beautifully. And this is the bezel action on the Pagani design. It is considerably worse, of course, but if you consider the overall package, how much you pay for this, this has the same movement. It has the NH34 movement with a see-through window over here, and it is much more accurate than the movement I received in the Watchdives, but I will come to that later. Let's see about the build quality, so don't get surprised that I still have the the plastic on this is supposed to be a present for somebody else. I'm not going to keep this watch, but it is really well made overall. And it has sapphire glass, it has all the same functions, the GMT hand, second stop, but let's take a listen, or let's take a look first at the clasp. Yeah, you have a different kind of clasp, safety features, and just take a listen. It is not the same rattle, it is not the same brass. Yeah, you have not the same level of polishing, and of course the brushing and the polishing are considerably worse. I think there are more on the yeah, on another level of manufacturing, let's say, but they're not bad. They're not bad at all. However, when you take a look at just how the clasp moves, it is more solid. Yeah, it moves a little bit. You see the wiggle as well here in the joints, okay? But overall, it closes much better, yeah, and behaves much better than the clasp on the Watchdives, which is considerably more expensive. So I'm really disappointed, and I will send my Watchdives watch back, because you cannot tolerate a watch where the clasp doesn't really close from time to time, okay, which you might lose as well. So yeah, this is two dive watches with the same movement, however the execution, the build quality is different. So hopefully this is just some product where the quality control wasn't really good by Watchdives, but this is my experience, and once again, listen to that. Yeah, so it is not fair comparing those two. This is much more expensive than the Pagani design, but if you compare this to a Swiss-made watch, this is Speedmaster Racing, okay, of course, you have another feeling, you have another finish, you have another level of execution, and of course the movement is what is really important, okay? This is an unfair comparison, I know, but if you compare that to, let's say, an homage watch of a Swiss watch, so this is the Pagani design homage to the Moon watch, yeah, to the Speedmaster Professional. Just take a look at the bracelet here and take a listen. I think that this sounds much better, and it feels much better. Yeah, it is much better on the skin, as well as like this clasp, and especially this bracelet. And I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of watch brands which cost so much more than other watch brands are from China, use the same designs, like they are still homage watches, it's not something original, and offer less for your money. So I don't know, this is just something which I experienced. Like I said, I will send the Watchdives watch back, and obviously why I will also show on the time graph, which is the most surprise I had. Yeah, so just for a comparison, those two next to each other, pretty similar. I would go for the Pagani design for a gift, for example, for somebody else. And I think I will ditch the homage divers altogether for my own collection, because I think the bezel action is just so hard to get right. Even with the Pagani design, it is also slightly off to the side, but it's not something which you would be bothered about at the price point, yeah, of 60, 65, 68 euros in the sale, 11.11 sale, yeah. But you would be very bothered about this, and how it behaves on a time graph I will show you in a second. So, putting the watch on a time grapher, I'm using the YG1000, which is not the most accurate time grapher, but even if it's off by 2 or 3 seconds, you see that this is not something which you want to have on your timekeeping piece. This watch has the NH34 GMT movement, and obviously I hope this is just the case with my watch. Something is pretty off, it needs a regulation or a movement replacement. I put in a lift angle of 53, which is usual for the NH Seiko movements, but you see that this watch does not keep the time. It is wound up perfectly. It is a high beat rate, but off by 68 seconds a day. This should not be the case. So hopefully this is just the case with my watch. I will contact the manufacturer, but those are unfortunately my experience with this homage watch. Okay, that's going to be it for today. Take care.